Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. We are back again for another update on the UFO topic, bro. Assalamu alaikum, Farouk. How's it going, bro?
Alhamdulillah.
We're outside today, bro.
We are outside.
Outside, it's a beautiful day.
Alhamdulillah. It is a beautiful day. You can hear the birds singing along with us today.
Yep.
Inshallah.
Yep. So, I thought we'd do an update, bro, inshallah. It's been a while since we've touched this topic. We did a whole series on the whole UFO stuff, and we haven't touched upon it in a while.
Yeah.
So I want to cover a couple of things with you, bro, today, quickly. One is we'll touch upon, we'll discuss, get your take on the whole psionics and the whole current state of the UFO space. And the second thing is IRIP. Basically, what's going on, what's coming.
Yeah.
Mashallah, you're wearing a very nice hat. We're wearing nice IRIP hats, mashallah.
Well, yeah.
So this is just the...
There's no merch available.
But, these are just trial hats.
Yeah, these are just trial hats, mashallah, that we got. We're wearing them while we're here down at the lake, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah.
So yeah, we'll get into IRIP. But let's start off, bro. So anything specific that sort of piqued your interest over the past couple of months?
Sure. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Sorry, we are fishing, brothers and sisters. So forgive us, we are keeping an eye on floats that are currently in the water.
Doing two things.
So if we're looking down it's because we're currently having a leisurely time fishing, inshallah. Alhamdulillah.
I'll show you guys what Farouk caught a little while ago.
Oh,
inshallah.
yeah, you're going to share pictures.
I've got some footage, bro, mashallah.
Mashallah. Yeah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for us all, forgive us all, guide us all to the straight path, forgive us for our lack of ability to help the ummah in the way that the ummah really needs help. May Allah forgive the people who lead over us and guide them to what's best for the ummah in totality. May Allah protect us from the tyrants and the hypocrites who have embedded themselves in our ummah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from our own selves.
Ameen.
And accept the ibadah that we did during the month of Ramadan, alhamdulillah. May Allah also forgive and guide our parents and our family and all of the believers, inshallah. We just to remind everybody, we do this for Jannah. At the end of the day, the reason we follow the law of Allah, the reason that we implement the fara'id, the compulsory actions within Islam, is because we want Allah's pleasure. And we want Allah's pleasure so that He may forgive us and enter us into Jannah, the true wonderland. And we don't want this dunya to enter into our hearts and to become something that we fight or we hanker after or we hurt one another over. Here at IRIP, we really don't want to get into bickering and arguing with other groups and other people. We just want to stay away from all of that and hopefully provide a really sincere, simple, peaceful way of showing other people around the world what Islam is, and in particular focusing in on the world of the unseen, al-ghaib, and in particular the Jinn and the angels and so on and so forth. Now, this is what, number 7? Of the
6 or 7.
Yeah, 6 or 7.
I'm not sure which number it is.
So I'll start, if you don't mind, bro.
Yeah.
We'll start just briefly going over IRIP because we did tease a show that we did. Mm-hmm. And I have to, hold my hands up. It's because of me that there's been a delay.
It's coming though.
It is coming. We've like, did a good portion of the edit on it. But Ramadan came along, and
by the way, you're talking about the first podcast.
Yes.
So we have an introductory video that's up already on the IRIP channel. I'll link it in the description box below. So please go on over, subscribe, click the notification, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
The podcast is coming soon, inshallah.
Inshallah. And by the way, that's going to be out of date a little bit now, that old episode.
I think it's still relevant, man.
Yeah, but khair, inshallah. It was kind of like an intro anyway. So IRIP, we've got a lot of work that we would like to get involved in to do, inshallah ta'ala. One is the podcast, and we had our first sort of person that we were helping with that within our outreach program. That's still ongoing. So there's quite a lot of things that we want to do, but really and truly the update is that we are working slowly but surely behind the scenes, inshallah, and with your help, with your du'as, and with your good intentions and kind words, we were continuing sort of growing the project, inshallah. Now to get to the nitty gritty, bro.
Yeah.
The UFO topic in and of itself, we know this, akhi. It blows hot and cold. There's times where there's a lot to talk about and a lot of things going on, and then there's times where it's a lot more quiet. Myself personally,
It's like fishing, isn't it, bro?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like fishing, isn't it?
Well, I got 2 on the trot, and then we ain't seen anything else.
Yeah.
So.
Blows hot and cold, bro.
Yeah, it blows hot and cold. And in Ramadan, I think it's good in Ramadan particularly to sort of step back from even, the activities you normally do and have a different program.
Yeah.
Ramadan is a unique time, and it's a unique time to have a unique program. So that's what we did. We implemented, a new program during Ramadan. I had a new program with Ibadah, so I wasn't really connected to it, but things were still going on.
Yes.
And just before Ramadan, we had a man named Jake Barber.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jake Barber was, he wasn't a tier 1 operator. Now you're going to hear these sort of words. In the American military, a tier 1 operator is effectively, for you here in Britain, is like an SAS soldier. Okay, these are people who are, part of Delta Force, the very upper echelons of the American military. These are the top guys. Jake Barber was, without saying it, he was in that level of military effectiveness. He was used and deployed for particular missions of a similar nature to what you would have in the SAS and so on and so forth. Now, Jake Barber came forward and he said that he was involved with a retrieval program.
Yeah.
When you hear the word retrieval in the UFO topic, it's talking about a program or an effort whereby they're trying to get their hands on foreign, let's call it foreign technologies. So this could be, or even their own technologies, but this could be, say, a test vehicle, let's say a test drone that's flown in a range where they're an empty area, maybe in Scotland, places like that, where we test certain vehicles, the British military, or in Australia. For them, they'll take it out into the desert and they'll do a test run there. Well, America has the same thing. They have these ranges where they go and test their latest equipment. So Jake Barber, he was operating on one of these ranges as a crash retrieval expert. His job would be that he would be contacted by his handler within the aerospace company that he worked for. Name one of the big aerospace companies in the world, and it's probably one of those companies. And he was operating, collecting sensitive vehicles that maybe crashed or landed, and he would retrieve them for them. And Jake Barber said that on one of his missions, he received a protocol that was different than what he normally does. So for example, if I get a job as a van driver, it will come through on my phone, and there's a normal protocol. It comes through on my phone, and I go to the area where I'm going to collect, and I take. So everyone in their job, they have a normal way of doing things. But he said it was a different protocol than we normally had. So he said instead of it coming through like it normally did, we met with a different person who gave us different orders, and it was top secret clearance. So he said we went and we retrieved an egg-shaped craft of a non-human origin. So this is a vehicle that belonged to another intelligence that's not human, as far as he was aware, and as far as the people in that program were aware. This is a non-human intelligence. Jake Barber, he talked about this extensively in an episode, and we can link it inshallah, with a fantastic journalist called Ross Coulthard.
Yes.
So thank you, Ross. Ross Coulthard, he really got a great interview with Jake, and Jake spoke about a lot of these things. Subsequently, Jake then came out and said that he's part of that was in the past, when he worked for the government, but now he's a whistleblower. He has his own endeavour.
Yeah.
And that endeavour is called Skywatcher.
Yes.
And Skywatcher came forward, and they said not only what Jake said, that he was part of the crash retrieval program that would retrieve vehicles of a non-human intelligence, but there were other individuals who were part of a psionics program.
Yeah.
Now, what is a psionics
so we need
program?
to unpack some of this stuff.
Let's talk about what that means.
So the crux of, I guess, Barber's story, it was this revelation of what they refer to as the psionics program.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I want you to explain what the psionics is.
Yeah.
But one thing you guys will notice is, as Farouk describes psionics, you will very quickly connect the dots to, other similar protocols and programs that may not be termed in such way, or have a technical type of feel to them.
Yeah.
But essentially, I don't want to let the cat out the bag. I mean, you describe it, and then we'll go into it. So what was this psionics?
Yeah. So there were two other individuals, and their name escapes me because, like, they obviously weren't as prominent as Jake. I can't mind their name, forgive me, but we'll put them up, and there'll be a link anyway to the documentary as well, inshallah, that you guys can watch. But effectively, there was 2 or 3 gentlemen. 2 of them spoke on camera, who said that they were part of a psionics program. This program would interact psychologically, if you like, or consciously interact with this non-human intelligence. And that they were able to, through the use of these psionic capabilities, as they call it, get in contact with a non-human intelligence and speak to them through their mind, and encourage these non-human intelligences to manifest vehicles in the sky or lights in the sky. It all sounds very fairy tale nonsense,
so
right?
it's like they refer to it as a consciousness interface, basically.
Yeah.
Where the human mind, some people have the ability or capacity, more so than others, to go into a certain conscious state, and in that state they can summon, as they say. They use the word summoning, right, which is very interesting. It's a classical word, if you like, that has been used by magicians or ascribed to magicians, summoning demons and summoning
as far back as you want to go, really.
I mean, it's there, right? So it's interesting they refer to that they use that terminology, but they summon. So these people with these abilities can summon these craft, interface with them, meaning they can somehow connect their consciousness to the. I mean, this is what the interpretation is of what's going on. That's important to highlight. It's not the case that this is exactly what's happening. No. But that's what we're being told based on the interpretation. And they can get these craft around. And it's not only a human interface. Apparently they can use other tech.
There's a dog whistle they call it. Yeah. So what they're trying to do is, from our perspective, they're trying to reach out and communicate with a non-human intelligence that interfaces through the consciousness. For us as Muslims, to put it simply, there's a being that talks to people in its mind, in their mind. And we would call that waswasa. As Muslims, we would describe that ability as waswasa. What they say is that some people have this ability and others don't. But what we recognize as Muslim is that the waswasa of shaitan can affect anybody. But he has his party, he has the hizb shaitan. And there are those people who, whether willingly or unwillingly, whether knowingly or unknowingly, are interfacing with a devilish entity. And this entity is leading them to believe that they're special, which is common in this. Right? Anyone who has these strange occurrences or have interactions with these beings come out of it feeling like that they've been selected for a special task. And they often can conflate and confuse these events with prophethood, similar to prophethood. That's the way
Bledsoe
they view
is
it.
a good example now. I think a good segue to bring Bledsoe in.
Excellent segue.
Chris Bledsoe, right?
Yeah.
So you'll see, bro, there's a pattern. So this psionics thing, or this whole idea of human consciousness connecting with these beings, summoning these beings, you have that in the story of Chris Bledsoe. His is more, if you like, a primitive version. Or a more religious, I wouldn't say religious, but a more sort of old school version of how you would see people in the past or throughout history contacting beings or engaging with beings, you know. Then you have Jake Barber, obviously the psionics, which they give it more of a scientific. This is more of a scientific.
And theirs is funded from an aerospace company, or was. This was funded by an aerospace company who, for whatever reason, probably, control, power to unlock some of the capabilities of these craft, or to gain more insight and knowledge about how physics works, so that they could manipulate physics in a way that perhaps most other people can't. Right?
And then you have CE5.
And then you have CE5.
Greer. We'll talk about Greer in a second.
Yeah, we're going to Greer.
But then he has his version, which is like, what he seems to do is have certain, because he's a big follower of the Vedas and the ancient Hindu
he loves all that
texts. Sanskrit and texts, basically. And he seems to have all these chants and incantations that he reads from these books to invoke these entities. There's not much about his CE5 protocol. Wind. Let's just wait for the wind.
Camera's getting closer, bro.
Before it falls over. SubhanAllah, timing, isn't it?
Yeah, there you go. قدر الله وما شاء فعل. We do know for sure that at least one person we spoke to who did reach out and has now been plagued and suffering with what we would describe as, satanic apparitions and waswasa and other things going on in their house, because this was a non-Muslim who ignorantly called out and was asking for, to see a sign or to have an interaction, and now they can't get rid of it. There are, a lot of dangers to these things, but there are people out there today who think that if you do this is a good thing, and that you're gonna have a good interaction. It's going to be
that's what the Psionics guy, that's what Barber.
That's how they view it.
Innocently, they believe the same thing. It's although they acknowledge there may be a negative aspect to this, there's good and bad of these beings or entities.
Yeah.
But I think the key point here, bro, is that the CE5, whether you look at CE5, you look at Bledsoe, you look at Psionics, essentially is fundamentally the same thing, which is invoking, summoning entities or beings or craft, right? Which is no different from what magicians have done throughout history.
100%.
Right? To invoke Jinn.
Yeah.
Right? And to seek their help and assistance, etc. So again, from an Islamic perspective, bro, it's very clear what's going on. Regardless of how you spin it, or what you call it, that's essentially what's going on.
100%.
I think Jesse mentions this in one of his recent podcasts, that where he interviews that military guy, where he saw that black.
Oh, Michael Herrera.
Indonesia, essentially, he said that what if this is an occult thing, going back?
But could this just be like an occult thing that's been going on for hundreds of years?
How do you think they learn?
Who?
These groups, they learn from the occult.
There's an ancient language that mankind has meddled with and people have used, and Allah's even exposed in the Quran, whereby you can communicate with the devils. And Allah sent some angels, Harut and Marut, as mentioned in the Quran, as a test on mankind. And that particular knowledge that you would learn from the devil is forbidden.
Yeah.
According to one of the tafsir, the angels themselves didn't teach the magic, but rather they told them where to go and who they could study it from the devil. And I'm inclined to that position, as how it worked. There are a lot of mythology about Harut and Marut, but from Quranic perspective, it seems most likely that it was angels that were sent, and they would tell you where to go and study with the devil.
Yeah.
And that knowledge led to a type of mind control, or shall we say, a way to influence mankind, so much so that you could separate husband and wife. Strong bonds of love and compassion. And the bond of a husband and wife it goes beyond the pale of just love and affection and caring, but rather it also has a physical aspect to it.
Yeah.
Which, you don't share with anybody else in your life. And this knowledge is forbidden because it has so much effect that it can separate husband and wife. Completely forbidden. Am I saying that this psionics and all that is exactly that magic? No. I'm not saying that's exactly what's going on here. But the mere fact that you're turning to the jinn and you're turning to the devils, trying to seek knowledge and understanding about this planet, and to gain it, and ultimately when it's a military endeavor, it's to gain an edge over your enemy. It's to give you the edge, to give you a better understanding, to give you a scientific or physics or chemical knowledge over somebody else. What they can't do. And when you work in the intelligence sphere, military intelligence in particular, you are at the very cutting edge. I know, mashallah, some of our brothers out there, they debate with scientists, right? And those scientists are just dudes who graduated, their PhDs or whatever. These people are not on the front line of science. They're not on the front line of consciousness. They're not on the front line of anything, because anything that's truly breakthrough technology or breakthrough information has to go through military intelligence first, because if it is sufficiently disrupting to a particular sector or technology, then it can be classified. If, say, there's a new technology that will completely destroy economics, it's so good, like let's say for argument's sake, an energy technology, it's so powerful and so world changing, they would classify it because it would be too disruptive and it would destroy legacy money,
Yeah.
legacy banking. Everything would be ended overnight. So things like this are very much in the military and intelligence community. This is what a lot of you don't understand, how the world works in that way, that the real change is happening in military laboratories, not in a lab in the bottom of somebody's garden, really. I'm not saying there are no discoveries going on by other people who are adventuring into things, but the type of material science that you need to have access to is generally classified material science. Stuff to do with stuff to do with nuclear materials and certain exotic, metals, etc. that you have to have permits and things to get access to. This is where the real cutting edge is. Sorry to disrupt. So, putting back on the hat of our belief as Muslims, magic is disruptive, and it's by the vast majority of people not believed in. People don't believe it's real. The vast majority of the public don't think that this knowledge is real, but the military intelligence does believe it's real. The aerospace corporations who are at the cutting edge of military intelligence do believe that it's real, are investing in and actively working on programs to get in contact with these interdimensional beings, as they call them, because there's a benefit in doing so, because there's a knowledge, there's an understanding about physics and about how this world works that they want to get access to. So they've tried everything, and believe you me, brothers and sisters, and friends out there who are listening, they will try black magic. If it says cut a goat, spread the blood, do this, defecate on that, pour this down there, put this up inside your backside, they'll do it. They will do it in order to gain an edge over the enemy, the perceived enemy that they have. And if that means that they have to sit in a mountain and chant a certain thing, they're gonna do it. But they have this view from the occult, going back to that, brother. They have this view that Iblis is an enlightened one.
Yes.
And that history is wrong. What the Prophet said is a mistake.
Yeah.
Really and truly, he was looking out for mankind against a jealous and controlling God. This is their view. And that actually Iblis is a minor god, or a god next to God, who is actually looking out for us and wanted us to have knowledge and understanding.
There is that view,
this is where the occult thing starts to blend in with it.
There was, I can't remember the name of the group, there was an offshoot from Christianity who held such a view about Satan.
Hermetics.
They spun it,
Yeah.
where God was the evil one and Satan was the enlightened being that was there to save the world, and people had it wrong. That's what they said.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
But I think essentially what we're getting at, bro, is all of these programs. And now, to put it out there, obviously, the Skywatcher team and stuff, they probably aren't aware of this stuff.
No.
And they have since honestly trying to sort of work on this because they think it's something beneficial.
As Jake said, he said, we're the fingertips.
Yeah.
Now, the fingertips doesn't know the intention that's controlling the hand, that's controlling the arm, that's controlling the fact is that when I put my hand forward on a day of judgment, it will witness for me or against me. But in the life of the world, it has no choice.
Yes. Yeah.
Point being is that the hand doesn't necessarily know the intention behind the action it's doing. So Jake Barber and his team, they were the fingertips. They were right at the edge. They were the ones collecting the material and bringing it back to the laboratories. The people in the labs don't know what his protocols are. They just know that we're getting this material brought into the lab, and they have their own control mechanisms. And you don't necessarily, you don't need to be in on the cult to be part of the mechanism.
Yeah.
And honestly, to keep it controlled, as we've mentioned in other ones, there's this heavy level of stovepiping, they describe it as, where they separate it into minutiae.
Yeah.
So instead of you working on the whole craft, you're literally working on a button, highly durable. So you don't know the rest of the craft. You don't need to know the rest of the craft to work on the wheel, right?
Yeah.
And that's essentially what they're doing here. They stovepipe it and cover it up so much. But the guy who wants the plane built is who knows what's going on.
Yeah.
The guy who's in that control, that part of the control mechanism, he's the one who knows what's going on. And it's these people who have been accused of being part of occults, people who are part of strange, often depraved cults, where they do really weird stuff to children, really weird stuff to animals, and they do so to appease the one who's telling them to do it.
Yeah.
He tells them to do these sick things. You only have to speak to some of the shuyukh in Saudi who deal with the magicians to see that. You must have seen the pictures, brothers and sisters, of mushaf being tied in hair and rope and thrown into the sewers, and they drain them out and they take them out, you know, every year. You see them, hundreds of mushaf, hundreds of pages of Quran stuffed into the sewers. Why? For magic. The one who gets them to do that, the one who gets them to do these depraved, disgusting things, is the same one who's telling these military intelligence officials to do these things. So, we're just hopefully, you know, enlightening you to the latest development within you.
Yeah, and the links.
And the link that's there to be made. You know. Sorry if I waffled on.
No, it's fine, bro. So I guess, and also with the Greer and stuff, you know. Here's CE5. If you look at the origins, he mentions them on a recent podcast. Yeah. That he went to a mountain area to meditate, I think, and this being came to him, abducted him, and then taught him this protocol, basically. Similar to, if you look at some of the religions historically, like Mormonism, etc., other religions, they have very similar stories where these beings appear to these people, take them away sometimes just enlighten them and give them these messages and stuff. But now, I guess this is another video, we don't have to get into this now. Then the question is, how do you distinguish between divine revelation and demonic inspiration?
One would simply say, well, your Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he was abducted and taken through the heavens. But the thing is that there is one beautiful aspect to prophethood that never changes, and that is Tawheed.
Yes.
The purpose for which every prophet came is to warn. All of them said it. We are to warn you of a day that's coming where you'll be judged for the deeds that you used to do. And this is completely distinct and separate from these, let's say, these apparitions or these phenomena that approach, these false messengers. They never ever come and say, go out and warn the people of the last day that's coming. Warn them that there's one God, tell them there's one God and there's the last day and that you're going to be judged for what you're doing and you have to pray, you have to fast, you have to do zakah. They'd never say these things. And that is, that's how you distinguish. That's kind of like, you know, to know that it's a prophet from God and to know that it's a prophet from the devil, or a false prophet if you like, a Dajjal, a minor Dajjal, is simply that do they preach Tawheed? Do they tell the people to pray? Do they tell the people to look after the poor? And do they warn about a day coming where you'll be judged and you'll end up in hellfire or paradise? And that's simply it. And that's how we can safely say that even though there it was an element of abduction, there was no secrecy on the part of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. In fact, it's the opposite. Arise and warn, as is said. You know, oh, you who is covered, arise and warn. Go out and warn the people of a day that's coming. Warn them about the punishment that's coming.
And the Quran exposes the shayateen, the evil, the devils, and the evil jinn and their plans and their ploys and how they want to misguide you and take you away. So, you know, that in itself, I mean, you can't argue that the Quran was revealed by evil jinn exposing themselves. It just doesn't make any sense.
Makes no sense.
Like if the jinn were to do that, then they wouldn't really be evil jinn.
100%.
Defeating the purpose, right? So 100%. Just you can't use that as an argument. But I think,
and I'll go add to this to it. Where, you know, there's quite a lot in the Quran about the jinn, right? There's quite a lot about the Quran about the jinn and the shayateen.
And it distinguishes between the jinn and who your creator is.
Sahih,
right?
Makes it very clear.
Very clear. There's a clear distinction.
And says there's no relation. Like they're not the sons or daughters of God, right? The angels are not the daughters of God, and the jinn share no lineage with Allah. And those that made that claim, you know, because that's what some of these people think, that they're some sort of heavenly creatures, that they're simply not. But I wanted to add that the Quran is very clear, especially particularly around the life of Sulaiman and what happened with the throne, and the fact that it, you know, everyone knows the story because it's one of the most interesting and fascinating parts of the Quran, whereby the Jinn al-Marid, the Ifrit brought the throne of Sabba very quickly, instantaneously. And it's funny that what these intelligence officials are after is a technology. It's why they're recovering craft. This is why they're summoning these things, is because they want to get their hands on that particular type of technology that instantaneously travels. So there's another link there to safely say that certainly they're calling upon, especially from our position, especially from our Quranic position, they're calling upon that which moves objects really fast. Yeah, so it's a no-brainer for
It's
us.
tech for them, isn't it?
Yeah.
They see it as technology.
As helpful as it would be for human beings to have a teleportation technology or an instantaneous travel technology, it's not necessary for our salvation. So whether we obtain it or not, whether mankind manages to invent and create such a technology and use it and benefit from it, it makes no bones to us. And to hanker after it and to break the laws of Allah, to do evil, to seek help from the jinn is wrong. You shouldn't be doing it. And it's haram and it's banned for us to do it. And the only reason Suleiman had that capability is because Allah blessed him with it. Suleiman did nothing except, who of you will bring me the throne? That's all he said. He didn't beg. He didn't, and then as soon as the throne was brought, what did he say? Did he say, cheers, Jinn? Spud me on that one? No. What did he do? He said, Alhamdulillah, all praise and thanks to Allah. It's a great mighty blessing of Allah.
But see, these are so if you look at it purely from a secular perspective, these are points that won't be appreciated. Which is fine, but at the very least, what we can say is that what you're witnessing today and what's going on today, whether it's in the form of psionics, whether it's in the form of these UAPs or beings or entities, it's something that's already mentioned. It's something that's already happened in the past. It's nothing new. We're not, based on what we know and the evidence at hand, we're not dealing with extraterrestrials from another planet. Let's just be honest. Even the experts are saying this now very clearly.
And I would quite easily say this, bro, that the jinn could easily make it seem that they are from another planet.
Yeah, and I think at least there's a partial attempt to make that.
Masquerade as such.
Yeah,
and
masquerade as such.
they could even visit another planet. I don't have a problem with that. If someone came to me and said, someone's saying the jinn visit another planet, I'm saying, there's nothing in the Quran and Sunnah that suggests that they cannot.
They could,
and it's the opposite. There is suggestion that not just jinn, but mankind too, can traverse different aspects of the heavens and earth. Not just one heaven, not just the matter dunya, but Allah says you will never penetrate the different aspects of the heavens and earth except by the permission of Allah. So it doesn't necessitate that that it's impossible.
It may be a possibility.
It's certainly. So when people, some brothers or sisters or people, normal humans out there, disagree in space that it exists, so we don't have a problem. That if they did travel space, none of this really matters, and it doesn't boil down to an aspect of aqeedah that you're going to be a disbeliever if you say it didn't happen. But the Quran allows for it, so there's no problem with that.
So I think that was good, man. Good summary of what's been going on
with the psionics.
So let's just quickly go and end on IREP, bro. So what are we planning? What's coming?
So the first episode, inshallah, will be out at the end of this month, bi'idhnillah, with Allah's help, right? And that first episode is just a general introduction. It actually goes over Jake Barber and some of the other stuff that some of the other whistleblowers, and it's just to bring everybody up to date and up to speed with what's going on, who the players are, and how important it really is. Trump coming into office did make a big difference, because Trump is certainly a lot more, let's say, radical. And he has radical policies, radical ways of doing things, and he is the sort of bloke who would probably let this thing come out. It is my opinion that it's not in the hands of the American government. I think that this is a rogue entity that exists as part of the elites of mankind.
I think that's become
and they're sorcerers.
Very clear.
They're sorcerers.
Congressional hearings and how far they've not been able to get. Based on still all these people coming to them, official government people, as whistleblowers, and they haven't been able to get through much anyway. So there's definitely is a dark element, if you like, or a rogue element, which
for sure,
in control of all of this.
And I think it's almost like a breakaway civilization of mankind. And I think that this is the families who have long been in possession and control of mankind. They're the ones who buried magic. They made it. I remember even before I became Muslim, you can see that the aristocrats in the 1800s, 1700s, they used to travel around the world, and they used to go to India and Pakistan and different areas of the world, collecting this knowledge, this esoteric knowledge. They would sit with the shamans and the people in the woods, and they would collect this knowledge, and ultimately they kept it for themselves. And now that science is the one that decides what is truth, that kind of like it's the vanguard of truth as people have made it, therefore magic don't exist, because it doesn't occur within the framework of this physical world, much like the human being doesn't live within the framework of a microbiotic life form. So like a white blood cell would never be able to fully comprehend its existence.
Yeah.
I know I use this example all the time, but it's a great one. And much like we can't really comprehend the world of the jinn and the existence and how they operate, you know, why is it they need a piece of hair?
Yeah, I mean, we live in times, bro, where they are free to operate with ease because of the current understanding, conscious understanding of humanity in regards to these realities, bro. Since modernity, there's, you know, some even say the defining feature of modernity was disenchantment.
Oh, subhanallah.
The disenchantment of the world.
I like that, that's
Right?
true.
Where it was all about the rational, the physical, the material,
Yeah.
the reductive. So people today are completely shut off from these realities, bro. Now, if you're unaware, if you're ignorant, you know, the evil jinn, this is easy playing ground for them. You know, they can capitalize on this and spin people and spin things in any way, shape or form they want. Yeah, man. Anything else you wanna sort of point out before we wrap up?
Oh
bro?
yeah, and also we've got, hopefully, like this year will be a productive year for IRET, and you know, we want to engage with more UFO groups out there, whether Muslim, non-Muslims. You know, we want to engage with you guys. We want to share what we know, and we want to learn from what you know, and hopefully together we can prepare mankind for strange days to come. We do know from prophecies of Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, that towards the end of times, you know, things will get strange, and when a Dajjal comes, things will get even stranger. So to be prepared and to have this, you know, awareness of what's going on in the world and how things could really dramatically change overnight, I think that spreading and having good relations with everybody is a great way to sort of share with them what we know, and hopefully that help them prepare themselves better for the vast change that will occur, inshallah.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair, bro.
Jazakallah khair,
Jazakallah,
bro.
brothers and sisters. May Allah bless you all. Make sure to check out the links in the description box, and we'll speak to you guys next time. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.